going to Florida, and we're going to bring you back a victory to Jackson. God to y'all.
What'd you say now, Chuck? Man, you a plumb fool, man.
You're a plumb fool, Chuck. You're a plumb fool. That's right. It's the ONG Strike Zone here on a Wednesday evening. Just three rattlers on the mic, and when we rocking on the mic, we rock the mic, right? Brian Fulford, Marcus Green, Kelvin Rozier. It is Florida Classic Week, baby, and it's time to skin some cats. Gotta go. We got payback. We still got here, kitty.
The big
payback.
Wild rats.
Wild rats. Exactly. I love it. Love it. How you brothers doing this evening, Marcus? How you doing tonight? How's your week and your weekend been?
Oh, it's been really good. I'm excited about the prospects of this weekend for the football team and the volleyball team, and just looking forward to tonight and looking forward to Saturday.
True that. True indeed. Kelvin, how about you? How's your night? How's your day been? Your week? Your weekend?
Feeling blessed, man. Lovely, man. I'm a rattler, so every day is terrific, man. I'm feeling great.
Hey, look. Thank God we are where we are, because even when times are tough in your own personal life, you look around the SWAC universe, or the HBCU diaspora, as my good friend Dr. Gaville likes to call it. There's drama, chaos, firings, dismissals, just all kinds of just messiness going on. And then you kind of look at us and you're like, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Look, like, woo, exactly.
It ain't us this time.
It ain't us this time. Exactly, man. So it is good to be a rattler, especially going into this weekend. As you said, a lot of stuff going on. Football games going well, going down this weekend in my hometown of Orlando. I got to call it my hometown because I think I have officially lived here in Orlando more than any one city my entire life. So this is officially my hometown, I guess. And then our volleyball team is going out for the three-peat to Prairie View, and we got to see the basketball team come back from the road and get back into the state of Florida, and I'm encouraged. So we got, we've seen good news from the cheerleading program, getting some big money donations and setting themselves. Just all kinds of positive news. So don't get sucked in by some of them other folks out there. We know you got a lot of choices on a Wednesday night and just in general. So we appreciate everybody coming in and chatting with us and being prepared to roll with us tonight. We'd like to encourage everybody, as always, to make sure that you are following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. That's also our YouTube page, where just in case you happen to miss the live show here on the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, you can always find it on our own personal page. And we'd appreciate it if you go on and share the show with a couple of rattlers, a couple of friends, a couple of family members, and let them know we're still trying to build this thing up. So we appreciate you. Folks jumped into the chats early, man.
I know.
Man, I don't know about these Wildcats that jumped in. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. A couple guys jumped in there, but
oh, really?
Yeah, a couple Wildcats jumped in early. Bobby Jackson. I don't know what that's all about. And HBCU band talk. He always comes to the show, but man, I tell you, y'all. And then they just got hammered from the get-go, from the jump seat. Bull comes in, sit down, Kit Kat. Just start hammering people just as we should. We appreciate you, Bull, stepping in there. Kenneth Rozier coming in there as well. We appreciate you. Jimmy Mack, already just letting folks know. You know, Jimmy Mack said he got some AutoZone gift cards. You know, so help y'all purchase some more breaks after Saturday. So nice. That's a nice shot across the bow. Good to see Coach Ferrasi. Good to see you. Langston Lyon, brother, coming in showing some love for the orange and green. There is Meredith. I want everybody on the show tonight. Let's see if we can get something trending on Twitter. I've always wanted to do this. So on Twitter or X, you know, those of you from X, just type in #BeatBCU. Let's see if we can get that trending on Twitter tonight. Go ahead. If you want to quote tweet the broadcast of the show, you could do that and then put #BeatBCU. Let's see if we can get that trending by 9 o'clock. #BeatBCU. Let's just see how that works out tonight. Melissa Wilson. Good to see you, Melissa. Mary 305. Always enjoyed.
Hey, Mary.
Thanks for coming in, as always. B. Starks. Appreciate you coming in. Always appreciate your support and love of the program and everything we're doing in the Black College Sports Network. Marcus. Appreciate you and your support.
Marcus.
Good to see you. Looking forward.
That mess me up every week when y'all do that.
Marcus.
Marcus.
Tony, good to see you, man. The high checking in. Ashton Harris, good to see you, Ashton. Happy birthday, my brother. I think you had a birthday last week or this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
My Scorpio brother.
Yeah, so happy birthday, Ashton, to you.
Hey, by the way, mine is Saturday, game day. That's my birthday. I want to celebrate now. Don't make me mad on my birthday.
I was going to mention that. Yes, Kelvin's birthday is coming up on Saturday on game day. So, we'll make sure to celebrate and do that right. Tremaine Ellis, appreciate you coming in, Rattler. MMAC Webb, MMAC Webb, strike again. Yes, indeed. As always, love to see you. Tamara T, glad you made it in. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. Kenneth Rozier checking in. I don't know if I shout out Kenneth already. I may have. I don't know. Mr. Campbell checks in. Steve Campbell checks in. Appreciate you coming in. Kylan Chavis, let's go. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in early. Appreciate you. Montre Bennett. Look forward to seeing y'all on Saturday as well. Make sure you got to. I noticed on the ticket thing they already opened up the terrace section for so the couple of wins
on
that
the FAMU side.
Oh, that was on the FAMU side. I was going to say I was wondering what side that was.
They had to do it on the FAMU side because FAMU people didn't want to sit on Bethune side, so they had opened up the terrace for us.
That's good. That's good. Miss Joanne, thanks for checking in from Cali. Appreciate you coming in, where it's late afternoon on the west side of the country. So we appreciate you checking in.
The hell Wildcats.
Chuck Hunt checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Chuck, always good to see you. We appreciate you. Our good friend Keith, Fangs Up Podcast, checking in.
What's up, Keith?
Good to see you in there. Let's see. Yes, Don. Exactly. Get it going. Wherever you can. #BeatBCU. Appreciate you, Don. Let's get it going today. Robert Vickers. I don't know. Is that Rattler's Petty? I don't know. Rattler's Petty Wheat. Okay. Yeah. We're going to be petty. That's right. That's us. We're going to do what we do. Montre, shout out to all the Scorpions. 11-13. Okay. And he's okay. Yes. Scorpio's in the house. I don't know anything about all those. I know if you ain't a Taurus, you get run over. So that's all I know. I don't know about it. I couldn't even try to figure out all the rest of those signs. I just know what I am, and that's it. Still trying to figure out what the good compatible match is. But anyway, that's another show, another topic. Keith Brown. Let's see. Got some info on some FAMU merch being sold at Sam's on the Treasure Coast. That's right. Hey, Sam's is actually on. I think Tallahassee Sam's always is selling some stuff. So Sam's Club is on point.
Mm-hmm.
Good place. Yeah. The Bayou Classic next week. Chuck says his birthday is next week on the Bayou Classic. So, hey, I'm with you on this one. I call it BCC. I try to be politically correct when I'm doing, public appearances on other shows, but I still think of it as BCC, Keith. So, I'm sorry. I just like that. What up? Just call it messy, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Let's get going here. Coming up at the bottom half of the hour, got a good friend of the program joining us, Brad Gillens. He hasn't been on in a while, but we try to get Brad in at least once a year. I stumbled across an old episode from first year we had Brad on the show, all the way back on episode 12, season 1. We had exactly. Had Brad on. Obviously, Brad's a South Carolina State alum. Former assistant SID at FAMU, and does some writing covering the Wildcats. So we got a lot of things that we can talk to Brad about. So it's good to have him on the show. Our girl Liv jumped in. Good to see Liv jumped in. Make sure you guys are checking out Liv for Hoops on YouTube and following her. Great follow. Liv, go ahead. I know you were live tweeting and following the Bethune women's game. I saw it was like 65 up. I don't know. Did they win that game?
Won.
They did win.
I think she posted they won by 2
in overtime.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we'll get into talking about these early weeks for the HBCUs. Some are doing well, some not so well. So, but anyway, we're gonna keep it positive as much as we can on the show. Want to remind everybody, go ahead and donate to the Rattler Athletic Fund while you can. Find a way to donate. I don't know. Do we got anything we want to encourage people to donate to in terms of the athletic fund? Anything we want to push out there? You guys can think of anything?
The women's sports. I mean, they've been carrying us. They've been winning the last 3-4 years. Softball, tennis, volleyball. So let's show the women's sports some love. I know, we've already done some things and some other support organizations have done so, but let's reward these ladies for the excellent job and how they represented our university.
And I always say, even a small amount goes a long way, whether it be $20, $25. Every donation helps. So, I figure, with 100 or so people watching our show, heck, man, dropping $20 into the fund from 100 folks, shoot, that would help cover that $2,000 fine, or not the $2,000 fine, but the $2,000 fee that we lost out on, from the foundation for the women's athletic initiative that the 220 Club was pushing. You guys heard about that, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So, but okay, so let's get into it. Last Saturday, or this past Saturday, FAMU gets a 28-0 win over Lincoln of California. QB2 got in the ball game. So for those of you who were itching and wanting to know what it would look like, well, you got your wish. Label me as not impressed. Label me as a little disappointed in just the overall performance. And yes, I know there were several missed opportunities in the first half. We only scored 21 in the first half, but probably should have had 35. I do admit that we should have had 35. I think when you go and look at the numbers, and the numbers were, I don't even have it pulled up, but I think it was like 8 of 18.
Yeah.
8 of 18, and I just the overall, the fact that we got 28 points, and yeah, there were opportunities when we could have had more. I mean, we should have had 40, probably could have had 50, But again, I tried to temper people's expectations. That's not who we are. We're not that team that comes out and hits a mosquito with an axe. We just I just don't. That's not what we do.
Yeah, it was a little more nuanced than that, though. We set a lot of people, and the center, the backup centers didn't do a very good job of
horrible
getting the
job.
ball back to the quarterback. And I'm
Horrible
talking about the
job.
entire game.
Yes,
They made it
yeah,
very difficult. They
yes.
threw the timing. They threw the timing off a lot. Then you had some missed opportunities in terms of either drops or catching the ball and not getting no toes in. So when I look at in totality, this time of season, man, how many upsets it was last week? It was quite a few.
Yeah, there was quite a few. There was quite a few upsets.
So November, a lot of times what you hear folks talk about, win, survive, and keep moving, right? Win. So we didn't try to do a whole lot this game, and we shouldn't have tried to do a whole lot. We missed on some opportunities. I was glad to see Leland Wilhort get some his first career touchdown and some opportunities along with some of the other guys. And I'm not this particular time. I'm not too critical in terms of the performance. The important thing for me is that those folks got reps, particularly the backup quarterback and so forth. Get some live game action. Now, in terms of the opponent and playing that opponent, I'm going to be a little more critical when we get to that point.
I will say this: the one play that bothered me, and you guys tell me if you saw this or you recognize this, okay? And this is probably the play in which Junior Murtovic, in his last play, his last possession, scrambles to the left towards the sideline. He's standing inbounds. And I don't know whether he was waiting or trying to find somebody or throw to somebody, but
he was looking downfield and forgot.
Exactly. He forgot. And he got his clock cleaned. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what bothered me more than anything in the world is that I didn't see a damn offensive lineman rush to pick him up, rush to jack that dude up who ran him out of bounds. It was a clean hit. I just didn't like the message that it sent that, yo, you came and cleaned our quarterback's clock and did nobody help him up. Nobody ran over there to pick him up. Now,
was that before or after the fight, though?
I don't know when the fight, because I was watching the highlights, to be honest. I don't know when the fight happened.
I can't remember. If the fight happened before then they probably a little trigger shy and trying to, because there was already some personal fouls out there.
It's that thing that coach. It's okay. I'm gonna relate it in basketball. Basketball terms, when we have a guy hit the floor, I am triggered when I don't see my entire team rush to help the teammate up off the ground. Tremaine Ellis said it was after the fight. Okay, okay. I get the discipline part of not wanting to go get that guy on the sideline. I get that, but nobody went to go help him up. Nobody went to go help him up, and that bothers me. Because if that guy becomes your QB1 for whatever reason, then I think there's got to be some level of respect for your quarterback. If the second team is in there with the second team quarterback, I want to see the offensive lineman go pick him up. And I always say, when I watch games and I watch, and you can watch whether it's college or pro, when a team is bad, people don't look, the offensive linemen, they don't pick up the quarterback. They it's just little things like that to me I think matters. Maybe I'm making a lot out of nothing. I probably am, like I do a lot. But that's just one little thing that I look at. That's just one little thing that I look at and say, y'all don't love Murtovic? Y'all ain't got no love for Seven? Y'all don't have love for Junior?
Yeah. You going on. You're going on one of your rants, man.
Okay.
No,
I'll step away.
I think he's taking it a little too far there. Now,
I might be.
I do believe that it was a clean hit in the sense that he didn't step out of bounds. But I don't know if it's a clean hit in terms of targeting. because he definitely launched and he knocked the heck out of him.
Knocked the heck out. And that
So
when Ja'Cory came in the next series, and we didn't see Junior anymore after that play. So, but anyway,
yeah.
like I said, I'm making that's just me. That's a little thing that I see. So I mean, if I'm
Nah.
nitpicking about all the stuff that happened in the game,
if it's my starter, I'm with you, Brian. If it's my starting line and not my whole starting O line in there, then that's a different story. But in that particular situation, I don't, I give a little grace.
Okay. In terms of running the ball, Terrell Jennings, 8 carries, 53 yards. Something that's not being talked about, and I got to do the stats here. I'll probably do it after, but Terrell Jennings might be in the, he started the season. We talked about this on our preseason show. He was in the top 30 in terms of all-time career rushers. He may be in the top 20 now. I knew he hit the top 25 after maybe week 4, but if you go, he's our leading rusher on the season, if I'm not mistaken. He might be over into the top 20 career rushing yards. That any other numbers or stats or anything that you guys care to speak on or talk about as it relates to this Lincoln game?
One thing I was kind of disappointed in, I mean, even though we did have reserves playing, it didn't seem like, and maybe it's a testament to the reserves being in, but we still had a lot of penalties. And I was like, are you joking me? And I know at least one took away a TD, and there were a couple that were seemingly, by the 10th, 11th game, you would hope that it would be cleaned up. And I know there's some characteristics of the team that we've just seen consistently. Penalties, sometimes depending on the opponent, they can either come out fired up or come out a little complacent. So, and Coach Simmons even alluded to that, I think, last week, because, this is the way the team is. They'll see an opponent, they might evaluate them from afar and say, okay, yeah, we got this. And then, or other people they might get fired up for. But I was a little disappointed. And like you, I was kind of disappointed in the score. I thought we would, even though we started the second string folks, some of them, especially on offense, I was expecting to see something like our third or fourth string QBs be able to get some run from us having been up by 4 or 5 touchdowns or 5 or 6 touchdowns.
Kevin Sawyer, they talking about the freshman running back who came in the late third or fourth. Kevin Sawyer is his name. Yeah, he did look good and had some burst to him.
But
he's not a freshman.
Yeah, he's not a freshman though. Let me see who they're talking about. Kevin Sawyer is a redshirt senior,
and I think he's from Florida High.
Yeah, he's from the area. I wonder if he's referring to.
No, they're talking about Kevin Sawyer. He came in, I think he's number 43 or something like that.
Yeah, he came in out. Yeah,
he came in late.
Well, I don't know.
He actually, I think he scored. He had a couple good plays in spring practice. I can't remember if it was the orange and green game or another practice that we happened to see film on, but he broke a couple of runs even then.
Again, I'm I see your point, EA. EA saying, let me hold on. I'm gonna put it up here. EA saying any QB coach would tell you deserve to get hit like that, to stop, hold the ball with defenders pursuing on the sideline. That's a yellow shirt practice move, not using. I get all that, but I'm gonna go back to, I bet you anything, as an offensive lineman, I want my offensive lineman to go pick my quarterback up. I don't want, again, that's it's the visual of, that's your teammate, that's your brother, that's your guy. Get him off the ground. I don't care if you got to bump a guy to get through him. And I've heard, again, the offensive line, the first team offensive line would do that for Junior Muratovic. I would hope the second and third team line would do that for Junior. That's all I'm saying. Offensive lineman, if your quarterback gets dusted, whether it's his fault or not, pick his ass up off the ground, get to him quickly, and make sure he's okay. I ain't see a doggone person go check on him. That's what I'm saying. So I'm done. I'm done. I will say this though, regarding Lincoln. Okay, the trade. You're funny, Tremaine. You got hit so hard.
Hey, it was fourth. It was It was kind. Hey, he got knocked to the sideline, and it was fourth down. So they were already on the sidelines. You know.
That's messed up.
I just think about what again. Texas Southern beat this team 52-7. Southern beat this team 45-18.
What's their record?
Tennessee State beat them.
Do they have a coach?
54-0. I guess they got a coach. I guess they got a coach.
You calling all those? Hey man, you killing your point with all that, man.
How am I killing my point? How am I killing my point?
Because it don't matter what them teams did. They not SWAC East champions.
Now win. See, funny how y'all changed it. Y'all changed the narrative. A win's a win now. You know, y'all wanted points in production.
I just think you beat it. Man. I mean, it was a garbage game that even should have been on the schedule. You making too much of it. We still ranked number 7 in the coaches poll, man. We didn't get beat 50-20 by Howard.
We moved up to 7. Yeah, we moved up to 7.
I'm just saying.
We moved up to 7. All right. Other scores around the league. As you can see, starting from Friday to Sunday, Grambling got a win. Bethune. I was just watching the highlights of the Bethune game, just in case anyone didn't know. But Bethune is down 14-10 with about 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then the Alabama A&M wheels just fell off. I mean, 3 touchdowns in literally a 7-minute span for Bethune, and they end up coming away with a victory. You know, who knows? They just send, with all these recent hirings, they just sent Bulldog Nation into a triggered state where they're watching other people. You know, hell, Southern, as you can see, Prairie View beat Southern 27-21. Southern didn't score in the second half. I don't think they got a first down in the second half. It cost Eric Dooley his job. Did you hear what the AD said? Some of the reasoning behind it was.
No, I hadn't read it. I saw someone.
I saw a clip, but I don't know how true it was. Like, he didn't engage the fans about how they're going to improve or something like that.
Hey, one of the things I said on Sunday, and I've listened to a lot of these SWAC press conference. Eric Dooley is one of the most dismissive coaches about what happened, and he won't talk about. I mean, your team looked like straight mud on a stick, and there's no, we've got to do better. I got to do better. I got to do better play calling.
Adjustment. Right.
I got to make some adjustments, and it's just, that's how the game flows. And, we got to, it just the level of accountability was absolute none, zero, zilch. And I think after hearing it let's see, you lost to Jackson State. You lost to, who else did you lose to? Prairie View. You lost to FAMU. I mean, you could run clips, and I'm sure somebody is going to just run clips on all the stuff that Eric Dooley said following those losses. It'll sound the same. And so, I think people just got tired of it, man. And they cut bait after the 2.5-year mark.
It ain't even a half year.
Yeah, well, 4-year contract.
Yeah,
cut bait.
He's just finishing. This would have been his second full season now, so he didn't even get 2 years. And Brian, I hear you, and so forth. But as a former administrator and just being fair and reasonable, when sometimes you evaluate wrong or it ain't fit. But in this case, he had been there. He did go to, regardless how he got there, he did go to the SWAC championship game last year. So I think you got to get a man 3 years, because potentially you done thrown the program back another 2 more years now.
Yeah, well, I think that's why they cut when they did, is they realized that let's do it now while we can get ahead. We can be the first on the block for any new coaching candidates.
Good luck with that, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't fire your way. I'm going to say this: you don't fire your way into success.
No.
You have to
but you
invest.
when you realize
No. Listen, you have to invest to have success, right? Everything is not the coach. There's a whole lot of things that happen prior to game day and on game day that impacts winning. Nutrition, support systems, emissions, compliance. I mean,
starting quarterback, play calling, strategy.
The man went to the championship last year. He went. Okay. Did he not go to the championship last year? Year one.
Did he win it?
He went there. How many teams go there?
Did he win it?
You speaking like a fan.
I'm speaking like somebody who recognizes I have a proud program and I got a fan base that's
if you got a proud program, then compete with championships is part of it. Yeah. It's one thing if you're not competing, but you're gonna have a bad year sometimes. A coach may have a bad year sometimes. Last year was not a bad year for them. He was ahead of schedule, remember? At least that's what they said.
That's what they said. And look, for Roman Banks, the AD over there, that's the issue because, you got rid of – I don't think they should have got rid of Dawson Odoms, but they did. And maybe they shouldn't have got rid of this coach, but they did. And so now you got to get it right. That's the hard part.
Well, no, the hard part is you decided to go in that direction 2 years ago in spite of the fan base.
Yeah.
You let a retired head coach push you and his supporters push you into making a hire. That ain't Dooley's fault. I'm just saying, if Dooley got to go, the person who hired him should have to go too.
Trust me, that he he may not be far behind. Listen to some people that I've listened to at Southern. Hey, let's take a break. There's those other scores. We'll talk about those other scores, especially that last game there that happened on Sunday. Woo, bloody massacre in Texas. We'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that and more coming up on the other side. Brad Gillens is going to join us, so we're going to get into talking about what's happening over at South Carolina State, but we're also going to get into talking about this Bethune team and find out this little bit of magic that they got, that they kind of pulled out of a bottle over the last couple of weeks. We'll find out how real it is on the other side. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in a moment right here on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin, and joining us, as you can see, a South Carolina State alum, but he covers the Wildcats. Look, you notice he got look what he got on, Kelvin. He made sure to wear that South Carolina State gear. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad Gillens. Brad, good to see you this evening. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, man. Always a pleasure to join the Orange and Green Strike Zone and come on with some guys that love HBCU football, particularly FAMU football, and get to chop it up this time of year.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Appreciate you coming on. All right, before we get into talking about Bethune and the magic that they found in the little bottle somewhere on the side of the road, let's talk about your alma mater, South Carolina State, former, I'd still call them a rival. I mean, we play South Carolina State coming up in the next 2 years. But this year, been an interesting one to say the least. The last ride for Buddy Pugh, I don't know when or how this team chooses to celebrate him. They've had bad performances on national TV. Then they have a homecoming game and they look great. Then they knock off Howard, and then they come back the next week and on the last game for Buddy at South Carolina State. And who is this team, Brad? And what happened? How did he get like this? We're so inconsistent this year.
Yeah, it's a relatively young team, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So, to lose, one of the best wide receivers, arguably in HBCU football, and Shaquan Davis to the NFL. You had a lot of guys that were coming in that they were asking to do some things that they normally wouldn't have been accustomed to doing. They weren't, because Shaq took so much, demanded so much attention. It gave them a lot of one-on-one coverages, with other defensive backs where they could, kind of get open and make some things happen. Not having that weapon or that safety valve, if you will, allowed for defenses to be able to, kind of play South Carolina State a little more straight up and force them to be more balanced than they have been in some years. That being said, they were able to find some success in the running game, particularly in the North Carolina Central game. I know the score wasn't indicative of, the way that they were able to successfully run the football. But freshman Juwan Howell is having a fantastic year. He's the running back that rushed for 284 yards and 3 touchdowns in the homecoming victory over Howard. Was held out of the Morgan State game. Started to develop some symptoms of an injury in pregame warmups. Prior to the game, they didn't want to take a chance on kind of getting him hurt, so they held him out. And as a result, you were able to see what transpired in the Morgan State game. So this team has really kind of been. They operated as kind of a Jekyll and Hyde this year. Defense has they've been solid. They haven't been they're not the championship defense that we're used to seeing, in the Garden City of Orangeburg. But all of that said, it was really, this year was really kind of a coronation of Coach Pugh and all of the success he's had over his 22 years at the helm at South Carolina State.
Kelvin, go ahead. I don't know if you want to ask Brad the next.
I'm gonna get him
about South Carolina State. Go ahead.
Hey, well, one thing I know you didn't mention, Brad, was your 6-year senior quarterback, Corey Fields. He should have been more consistent. He should have looked better this year, and that was part of your problem too. That being said, you can respond to that while answering this question. So, where are we with the AD search? Where are we with the coaching search?
So,
what the All Nation talking about?
Yeah. So, as it stands right now, head football coach Oliver Buddy Pugh is actually kind of playing double duty, if you will. The interim athletics director, Keisha Campbell, who had done a remarkable job, and kind of stabilizing things and really doing some wonderful things at the university over the last several years, decided to, step away literally the week before homecoming. Coach Pugh then was inserted as the interim AD as the national search is performed to find a permanent AD. What I can tell you is it's not a job that he wants to take on permanently. His wife has basically told him, "You're coming home." So I guess after being there for over 20 plus years, I think she's ready to have some time with him. He has grandchildren, so he wants to be pop and be able to be home and spend some time with them. But with that being said, the search is on for a permanent AD as well as a permanent football coach. One of the great things about what has happened over the past year, if you will, is Coach Pugh announced at the beginning of the season that this was going to be his final year. So coaches knew there was going to be an open vacancy. It gave the administration who was there, as well as the president, who was going to be heavily involved in the search process and the decision-making process, an opportunity to be able to take a look around the college football landscape and determine, who they want to target and who they want to go after, and really kind of put together a good concerted effort on determining who that next coach for South Carolina State is going to be. I mean, we've had 3 coaches in 45 years. And so as Coach Pugh alluded to in one of his press conferences just a couple of weeks ago, you can liken South Carolina State to the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NFL. And in that, it's not a job where we're looking to have somebody come in and hit lightning in a bottle and be there for 2 to 3 years and then move on. When we hire a coach, it's really something where we want to take a look at, who wants to come in, kind of continue the legacy at which, Coach Jeffries, Bill Davis, and now Coach Pugh have been able to, solidify in not only HBCU and Black college football, but in FCS football as a whole. So it's definitely going to be something where, they want to be very intentional about, who they're looking at and what their intentions are and kind of, what they can bring to the university as far as, fundraising and, being able to be an ambassador and a steward for the university and for the athletics department at large. College football landscape is changing drastically from 22 years ago when Buddy took over at the helm with, NIL and merchandising deals and, programs like these that we didn't have in 2000, where we can come on and we can talk about, kind of the state of the university, the athletics department, kind of hold feet to the fire and talk about, the highs and lows, the ups and downs and all of those good things. So some significant strides have been made. So we're looking for a coach who's going to be innovative and be able to, adapt to all of the changes that have been made over the college football landscape over the past 20 years. And then also be able to have the foresight and the vision to be able to take South Carolina State athletics to the next level for the next 20 years to come.
So do you think Chennis Berry, a name that has been rumored about for quite some time over the last month or two, and all the HBCU diaspora, and then all of a sudden the Southern job opens up, and now he's the hot name for that job, just out in public. Do you feel like he would be a good fit? And I'm gonna give you one other name, Teddy Keaton, who also in Charleston, South Carolina, has done a great job building the Allen program. Do you think either of those two are good candidates, would be a good candidate? And if not, you got a third candidate or somebody that you would throw out there?
So I'll start with the elephant in the room, just because it's been bandied about for several months now. And it looked like for quite a while until literally this week. Barry was definitely one of the heavy favorites to move on from Benedict and definitely put his hat in the ring for the South Carolina State job. I don't have any concrete evidence. This is pure conjecture and speculation on my part, but I know that there's been some interest that has been expressed from what I've heard by both parties. But with the firing of Coach Dooley just yesterday, and the fact that Barry was on Southern staff for 7 years as an assistant head coach and offensive coordinator before going to Benedict, and manufacturing two undefeated regular seasons, 2 SIAC championships, 2 number 1 seeds in the Division II playoffs, and really turning that program around, and with the with the assistance and the support of the AD and Dr. Rosenlars Clark, he's really been able to bring back Tiger football in Columbia in a way that hasn't been seen in a very, very long time. From just being completely honest, we're in this business to win football games. Our coaches are in the business to win football games, but they're also in it for financial reasons as well. And, to be able to give themselves an opportunity to be able to set their families up, with some generational wealth, if you will. That being said, Southern and South Carolina States and the FCS programs alike that may be knocking on his door will definitely be able to offer more in terms of salary and coaches pools and the like that he may be receiving at Benedict. So I think it's a matter, if we're talking specifically South Carolina State versus Southern, it's really just personal preference. So it's one of those things where, do you want to uproot your family all over again? You just did it 2 years ago, having to move from Louisiana, to South Carolina, made inroads with high school coaches and all of those good things. Is that something you want to leave? Or is it something that you want to stick around for, take those relationships that you've built, move on to, South Carolina State and see what can happen there? Or do, we've seen it. And then I think you guys have firsthand knowledge. There's no place like home. And so, when you guys were in the market for a head football coach just several years ago, it was Willie Simmons was leaving Prairie View and decided he wanted to come back to Tallahassee. One, because it was a dream deferred, if you will. And I'm sure you guys know the story of him supposedly transferring from Clemson, but that was the transition year from FCS to Division I. And we don't have to go back through that. I can tell by the pain on your face, Dr. B, that you don't want to have that conversation. But, he was able to come back, as a head football coach, and has done some fantastic things. He's, won an average of, 8+ games a year since he's been there. So it really just depends on, what Barry wants to do right now. He's the belle of the ball, and the world's kind of his oyster. So we'll see, where he goes and what he decides. I think either way, South Carolina State is one of the preeminent Black college football programs in the country. And so if Barry is not, if he decides to take the route to go back to Southern, then I think there are some other names that I'm hearing that I wish to keep close to the vest right now, if you will.
Come on, Brad. Throw a name. Give us a name. Name. Give us a name.
We stirred a pot on this show, Brad. You know that.
Nobody's listening or watching. Come on, Brad.
But yeah, we'll see what transpires. I think what I can say is that whomever they hire, I think they've done a good enough job in the search that whomever it is, they'll come in and they'll understand the significance of what it means to be the coach at South Carolina State, and they'll bring their best effort.
All right. Well, Marcus, go ahead. What do you got? What do you got for Brad?
Well, you pretty much answered all the questions I was going to ask from a South Carolina State perspective. And I was wondering, I guess, you can't give out names, but in terms of fit, because I know Chinsbury has done a great job at Benedict, but just because he has a knockout record at one school doesn't mean he's necessarily a fit for South Carolina State. From, I guess, the analogy of using the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL, what coach either someone named or someone that we hadn't considered would be the best fit for the culture of South Carolina State. And I guess tied to that, I guess the attractiveness of the job. As I know, a couple of years ago, there was some, but I guess before you hired the permanent president, there was some shaky footing at South Carolina State. But I've seen articles where enrollments improved and things of that nature, and how much more or how much better of a footing or perception is the job now that there's a little bit more stability versus if it had been a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well,
even though,
I don't
despite
think,
the AD, interim AD resigning.
Yeah, I mean, even with everything that was going on from an institutional level that never had any bearing on the prestige of the football team or the athletics department as a whole. That being said, Colonel Alexander, retired Colonel Alexander Conyers, who's the president of South Carolina State, has come in and he's done a remarkable job of engaging the community, the alum. I think homecoming this year was one of the most well-attended that we've had within the last, 15 years or so. And just to not to age myself.
And you weren't talking like this at homecoming. I saw the pictures.
not to you petty, man. You petty. Not to age myself, but I celebrated my 20th anniversary graduating from college just this couple of weekends ago. So it was really an exciting time. It's an exciting time in Bulldog Country right now. There are a lot of really good things going on. Enrollments on the upswing. People are excited about what's going on in Orangeburg, and I think with this changing of the guard, with Coach Pugh leaving, after 22 years at the helm and being able to bring in some fresh young minds, I think that's definitely going to bode well. Marcus, to answer your question about where I think the fit lies, it definitely needs to be somebody who understands the culture. Number one, of HBCU football. Number two, of South Carolina State. That doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be an SC State graduate. It just needs to be somebody who understands the culture. Somebody who wants to come in, who definitely wants to run an attack that we're seeing in college football today. So I mean, I would imagine they'll be running some variation of the spread offense, and definitely, I mean, the hallmark of South Carolina State from as long as I can remember to now has always been their defense. So it definitely needs to be somebody who's laser focused on defense, whether it be them being a defensive minded coach or just ensuring that, the staff that they are able to bring on is able to, continue that mantra and that tradition of defensive excellence that we've been able to enjoy, over the past 50 years.
Okay.
All right, Brad. For those who aren't familiar or who let people know, your coverage of Bethune-Cookman is where.
Yeah, so I've been covering. Yeah, so I've been covering Bethune-Cookman for HillWildcats.com for roughly 7-8 years now, in that time I've seen I've covered from Coach Jenkins to Terry Sims and now Raymond Woody, I've seen them at their peak. I've seen them kind of in between, and I've seen them kind of have their lows. What I will say about this Bethune-Cookman team is they're in a rebuilding year, if you will. They had selected a coach initially. Things didn't go the way that they were supposed to. And so as a result of that, they had to go back to the drawing board and, decided on, bringing in Raymond Woody. And quite frankly, I think it was, probably the best decision that they made, just because of a myriad of reasons. Woody has been he was a seasoned coach, heck of a recruiter. Has coached at the FBS level, at the FCS level. So I mean, he kind of understands how it's done at the highest level, all the way down, all the way down. And so, with that being said, their defense has been solid all year. The offense has taken some time to kind of come around. To Coach Woody's credit, he didn't have a full recruiting cycle just because he came in so late in the game. So one of the things that I would say is that you talked about, maybe picking up some lightning in a bottle. I think they found it somewhere in like Monticello, if you will. So, but nonetheless, they've been able to have some success as of late. I will say, what I will say is this, just based on, what I know about Coach Woody, what I know about how he recruits and how he's able to walk into kids' homes and, relate not only to the children or to the student athletes, but to the parents at large. If you're going to get Bethune-Cookman, this is the year to get
him. Okay. Here's what I find interesting. And again, anyone who didn't watch or even see the highlights of the game Saturday against Alabama A&M, is this team was down 14-10, deep in their own territory with about 7 minutes to play, and found a way to not just win, but score 21 straight points on their way out the door. Actually, technically 24 straight points out the door, because they were down 14-7, if I'm not mistaken. But I just happened to observe deep in their own territory, down 14-10. And I'm watching, I'm like, doggone, it's 7 minutes. When does the scoring start? And then it started on that drive. But this is a team that has been competitive, and they played the three best teams. Well, obviously they're in the East. So let me back up for a second. I had to check myself there, because I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, oh, they were competitive against Jackson State.
Yep.
6 points. 5-point loss to Alabama State. Texas Southern, who we just saw boat race a team that could be in the SWAC championship, 3-point loss. The Southern and Grambling games were within 1 to 2 touchdowns, and then they hit the winning streak, the 2 games. So this team does what really well? What have you observed that they're finally starting to do what well at this point in the season?
Well, from what I've been able to gather, they run a pretty good balance. They have a pretty good balanced attack. They've always had, really good skill position players, very strong within their running game. But the defense is the hallmark. The defense is the hallmark of the team. And so the defense has kept them into games. And so, it gives the offense an opportunity to be able just to engineer a few drives here or there. And as long as they can, continue to put some points on the board, the defense always gives them a chance to be in the game.
What do you got, Kelvin?
Give me your analysis of what you've seen from FAMU.
Mm-hmm.
From the games that I've seen from FAMU, and this is it's been interesting. We talked about we talked about Corey Fields from South Carolina State and kind of his lack of progression over the past 6 years. What I've seen from this FAMU team is they tend to play to their level of competition. And I watched the Texas Southern game, and I'm watching the game, and I'm saying, who is this team? This isn't the team that I've seen. This isn't the team that I saw going to the Orange Blossom Classic and boat race Jackson State. This isn't the team that I saw against Alabama State. Like I couldn't put my finger on it, and then it's almost like You know, the team got a touchdown right before the half, went into the locker room, and Coach Simmons lit a fire under them, something serious, I would imagine, and they came out, and it was like a completely different team was on the field. And so depending on how the SWAC championship game plays out, because of course, FAMU will be hosting the SWAC championship game the first weekend in December. That could be the difference in heading to Atlanta 2 weeks later or not. Now, obviously, the Rattlers are the odds-on favorite, but I would caution against them what I've noticed is that they've started slow. Depending on who they're playing. And maybe it's just a situation where they feel as though, they don't have to bring it, within that first 12 minutes or that first quarter or that first half, because they have an on and off switch where they can do just that and, come out victorious. What I will say is against some of the upper echelon teams or some of the better, more balanced teams, that they are going to have to face, particularly within the next several weeks, that may not be an option.
Okay. Marcus, go ahead and close it out here with Brad. What do you got?
I guess the question everybody probably is curious, what's your projection for the Florida Classic?
I think FAMU wins their third in a row. I don't think. Now, I say that with the caveat, I don't expect it to be a blowout by any means. It's a rivalry game. It's quite frankly, Bethune-Cookman has nothing to lose in this game. FAMU has everything to lose just because they don't want to go into the SWAC champion. They don't want to back into the SWAC championship game after a loss, especially to an in-state rival. So, with that being said, I would expect, these games are, they're, you never really can tell, if you'd have told me in 2010 that FAMU was going to win that game, I would have called you crazy. And so stranger things have happened in this game. Dr. B, you said you weren't going to talk about it, but I'm going to bring it up. First overtime game in Florida Classic history, 58-52. If you would have Ben Doherty threw for 462 yards, if you would have told me Bethune-Cookman was going to win that game, I would have called you crazy. So we've seen some things, some stranger things happen in this Florida Classic game. But I do expect at the end, when the clock strikes zero at Camping World Stadium in the city beautiful of Orlando, Florida, I would imagine that Florida A&M will come out victorious.
Good man. Brad, is there any truth to the data?
What is that?
I don't know who did this, but there's no truth that Bethune is coming out in these uniforms. They always have a flair for coming out in dramatic helmets and new uniform. This is not the uniform of choice this weekend. Is that correct? Can you confirm or deny that?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
What I will say is this: I expect them to come out with something different. They always do. Bethune-Cookman, for what it's worth, has been literally the Oregon of HBCU football. I think they have more uniform combinations than any other school in FCS football, for that matter. That being said, I definitely expect them to come out and don something that we haven't seen probably all year. But I don't expect this. That's for sure. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month is done. I think we can suffice to say that they're probably not going to have on pink cleats.
All right. Well, I mean,
or leopard.
We'll say this: it would really be a bad look for FAMU if they did come out with these, and
yes,
then
exactly. It would be. It would
be. So be careful what you ask for, sir. Be careful.
It would be a distraction for sure.
For sure. That'd be hellified uniform switch. Come out in something solid and then come out with this in the game. But anyway, all right. Well, it's all in fun, Brad. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Hey, appreciate you stopping in and talk with us. Maybe offline, you'll drop us a nugget or two so we can keep our eye on some South Carolina State coaching candidates, because that's where all the tea is. That's what we'll be. That's what we all be watching. And then of course we renew the rivalry next year.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Kudos to. Oh my God! Why am I drawing a blank on?
She's not there anymore. That's why.
No. I'm
not
talking about ours.
Tiffany Dawn Sykes.
Yes. On kudos to Tiffany Dawn Sykes and Keisha Campbell for getting the paperwork squared away and making sure that the game was renewed. Because I'll be honest with you, guys. It's always a well-attended game. Our fans love when you come to our fans love when you come to Orangeburg, and in turn, love coming down to Tallahassee. I know you guys love coming so you can get some Brown Derby. We love going to Guthrie's so we can get a gut box, and there's always fun and camaraderie. So we love our Rattler brethren to the south.
Well, I know for a fact former AD Campbell would have loved to have played this game in Miami, but as she told me, it's out of her hands.
Right.
I'm gonna just leave that alone. So
right.
But okay. Well, hey.
Well, if I have anything to say about it, based on what I remember about neutral site games with FAMU, I don't want to play any neutral site games. I've had enough of that for a lifetime. Trust and believe.
All right. Well said. If you know, right? All right, Brad. Appreciate you, man. As always, thanks for coming on, spending some time with us tonight. Good luck to the Bulldogs in the final game of the season, the final game of Buddy Pugh's coaching career. Hopefully they send the man out with a W. It's send the man out the right way with a W. Please, God. Okay. Brad, we'll talk later. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys. Take care.
All right. Brad Gillens, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a short break, come back, and get into what the scenarios are looking like over in the SWAC West. And then we got to mention what's happening over in the MEAC country. Just as my good friend AD Drew calls it, complete MEAC-ish type things going on over there in that conference.
Say MEAC.
Again. Who would be surprised, right? All right, we'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin here. Appreciate you guys. Guys, make sure to hit up Brad at Czar Illustrator. Let him know you appreciate him coming in. We'll definitely be keeping tabs on that South Carolina State thing as we go. All right. Just take a second. Let's come back to what happened in the world of football over the weekend. Again, you couldn't have missed it, but in case you did, you missed the game on Sunday where Texas Southern just inexplicably just
opened up a can.
It was probably the second biggest upset of the weekend.
Kelvin, that was like a BJ's or Costco size can.
Yeah.
I was stunned and amazed.
And Ladarius Owens ran wild, 200 yards, became like the all-time leading rusher in Texas Southern history and everything. I mean, just good Lord, man. I
tried to warn y'all. What I've been saying all season? Don't trust the West.
Yes, indeed. That's what you've been saying. Yes, indeed. Yeah, you said it. Okay, so what that means is Alcorn went from being in first place by themselves to now tied with Prairie View and really, losing they had control of their own destiny pretty much going into the final game of the season. And so, and what's even amazing, and it's funny because Drew and I, when we're doing the show Sunday, and I'll be honest, I as we're watching this and we're talking about it, then it just kind of hit us that, wait a minute, if Prairie View and Alcorn loses, oh God, that means now the Bayou Classic will somewhat determine who will go into the into the SWAC championship game.
And it got even juicier because, I mean, if that comes to that, and I didn't realize that until somebody posted it earlier today. I want to say Yard Talk, but I'm not sure if it was her or somebody else, that the guy who's taking over as the interim coach at Southern was the interim coach at Grambling when Fobbs got fired.
Right. Two seasons ago. 2 seasons ago, yeah, that coach who was the interim coach for Grambling went over to Southern because they didn't retain him at Grambling when Hugh Jackson came over. So then he ended up going over to Southern with Dooley. And then, because they had an interim coach at the time as well, because they had already let go of, they let go of Dawson Odoms before, and they had an interim coach that entire season. So they didn't stick with him at the end of the year. Ended up going with
left.
Who?
Dawson. He went to Norfolk.
Okay.
No, he's talking about the interim coach that coached in 2000.
Yeah, that game was an interim coaching game where you had one interim coach and then a recent interim coach, right? So Grambling ended up winning that ball game, and then that coach joined the staff with Eric Dooley over at Southern. And now, what do you know? He's actually coaching in that contest against Grambling, as well as Noah Bodden, former Grambling recruit. It will probably get some action in that contest. So for those who are looking for a juicy handicap, there's your juicy handicap. All right, so this is what the West looked like, the Wild West, as it's called. So Prairie View now controls their own destiny. If they win out, and this week they got a tough one. They play Alabama State. But if they win that game, they're coming to Tallahassee. But
again.
But if Alcorn wins, by beating Jackson State. They got to go to Jackson State and win now. And Prairie View loses to Alabama State, then it's Alcorn who gets in. And then the third scenario, as we just mentioned, that if somehow, which right now, by what I recently saw, the two East schools, Jackson State and Alabama State, are both favored over Alcorn and Prairie View. If that holds true and those two teams win and Grambling beats Southern, guess who's coming to Tallahassee? Old Hugh Jackson and Grambling are coming to Tallahassee out of nowhere. And there's Grambling.
You win the West, and you win the West, and you win the West.
I think that graphic is off a little bit.
How so?
Well, because it says under Grambling, it says JSU lost. That should be Alcorn lost.
Okay.
And I know you didn't create it, so I'm not blaming you. But
well, good catch. Good catch. Yeah. So yes, you're right. So Prairie View and Alcorn lose is what it should say. Grambling.
And Grambling wins. And so we would at the very least, and I think Coach Simmons recapped this during the 220 Club, QB Club today.
Yes, he did.
But so if both Alcorn and PV lose, we got to wait till Saturday evening after Thanksgiving to figure out whether Grambling wins or if they lose. And then I guess if they lose, all three of those teams lose, then I think the tiebreak goes to, I don't know who. But
so the tiebreak goes to
Prairie View.
Prairie View.
Yeah, go to Prairie View. So they would eventually bubble back up into the SWAC West rep if they lose.
So how that works, it all works based on division record. Like right now, that's why if Grambling, if Alcorn and Prairie View lose, Grambling by beating Southern has the best division record. Remember, all those teams would be 5-3. Grambling actually would have the best division record because remember, Grambling, let's see,
they're only lost in the division. Yeah,
right. Their only loss in the division is to Alcorn. Right?
And that's by 1 point if they had to go down to points.
Correct. By 1 point in a field goal. So, but the thing is, if Southern were to win, right? Southern, who would also then be 5-3, they lose out because they have lost to Alcorn and Prairie View. And then it goes down to Prairie View versus Alcorn again. And then that's where Prairie View again has the tie break over them. So that's
by virtue of a head-to-head win.
Again, what do you say, Kelvin? Don't trust the West to keep it simple for us. And just know it's chaotic. Just know it's chaotic. But what's even more interesting is what happened over in the MEAC. Because, boy, I tell you what, with the number one, well, in some people's polls, number one, North Carolina Central, getting beat by Howard 50-20, and then Morgan State beating South Carolina State, it left a 3-1, 3-1, 3-1 tie over in the MEAC, and it's set up for this upcoming weekend where you have Howard playing Morgan State, North Carolina State playing Delaware State. And so how that one's going to go is this nice little graphic. Okay, if Howard wins, defeats Morgan State, Howard is coming to the Celebration Bowl. They win the MEAC title outright. Okay, but guess who still has a shot? North Carolina Central. Because if Morgan defeats Howard and the Eagles, who are at home against Delaware State, win, North Carolina Central is going. Because they've already beaten Morgan State previously, and both teams would have one loss, 4-1 record in the conference. Oh, but wait, there's more. Because how can Morgan State get in? If by some strange occurrence, Del State is like, you saw the record, 1-9. If Del State were to somehow beat North Carolina Central and Morgan State beat Howard, the Morgan State Bears would go to the Celebration Bowl and they would have a record of 5-6. Again, a 5-6 team from the MEAC could be coming to the Celebration Bowl to play whether it's FAMU, or whomever. But just imagine, wow, that's crazy.
Yes.
Well, once South Carolina State 6-5 when they came,
They were,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Howard would be actually if they come.
and
Howard
got blown out that same season by FAMU.
Yeah.
Yep. Early on.
Shut out. Yeah.
North Carolina Central still has an opportunity to go to the playoffs. That's one thing that's in play. They dropped from number 7 to 14 in the coaches poll. FAMU took their spot in the 7th spot in the coaches poll. I think what's funny is the Stats FCS poll has Central 10th. So they only dropped a couple of spots there. Of course, the Stats FCS didn't really move FAMU at all, so they're still kind of like 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
So North Carolina Central is still in play. And there are some people, when we were talking on the show, on Dr. Cavill's show last night, Jackson State. I mean, if Jackson State beats Alcorn, and Alcorn is still considered, a good team and still in contention, right? If Jackson State were to beat Alcorn, and I mean, really beat them, good. Jackson State could make a pitch and say, hey, we're 8-3. We maybe should get one of those 24 spots. But really, actually, they're kind of like 11 or 12 at-large spots in the FCS playoffs. Even though they're not ranked, maybe they could somehow jump in the ranking on the last week of the season as 24, 25. They might find themselves in there. And you could realistically have North Carolina Central and Jackson State in. That would be shocking to see the FCS do that, because you're like, yeah, I'm the same way, Kelvin. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know. We'd have to ask, from in terms of a quality win, do they have one?
Right.
And also,
who does Jackson State have a quality win?
Yes. Yeah. Or what the committee would consider quality. If you put yourselves in their shoes, do they have what they would consider a quality win when they compare against other FCS brethren? And then also the losses that they've had. FAMU's the only ranked team, if I recall. They've lost. Who did Jackson State lose to?
Alabama
State and
Texas State.
Texas State. Yeah. So Division I loss, and then Alabama State. Now, if Alabama State, well, I guess if they were ranked, they'd be in contention probably for the title for the SWAC East. So that would
Alabama State hurting both teams, because Alabama State only got 3 losses too, but they hurting both teams because of that D2 loss.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Good point. Losing to Miles.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice scenario, a nice thought. Who knows? I don't know what kind of stuff is going on in the back channels, but Jackson State can always sell having a 50,000 seat stadium as incentive. And I mean, imagine
they'll have an argument. Yeah, they have an argument.
Yeah, but I mean, they have a slim argument just to get in the playoffs, but then to host.
Oh no.
Well, they can host. They can host. They can put in a bid to host one of those first round games, because those first round games, that would be you'd have a first round game against.
They don't have to go they don't have to go to the highest bidder though, and they did that last year.
Okay.
Well, in the first round where they didn't award it to the highest bidder, so
yeah.
I just don't see them. I don't see them making one of those other schools come to Jackson in front of 30,000, 40,000 people. Mm-mm. It would make sense, but they ain't gonna do it.
No, I mean, I have to me, it'd be a stretch for Jackson to get an at-large bid, and then if they did, even more of a stretch to host a home game in the first round.
Yeah, I don't disagree. All right, so obviously you see the schedule there. Lots of good TV watching. I mean, if you're not coming to the Classic, you can set up multiple TVs between the 2 games in the SWAC, Alcorn, Jackson State, Alabama State, Prairie View, the MEAC games. The Howard Morgan State is a 1:00 game.
Is that on ESPNU? I mean,
It's
on ESPN Plus.
It is on ESPN Plus. The North Carolina Central Dell State game is a 2:00 Eastern game. That's on ESPN Plus. You see the obviously the FAM Bethune game is on ESPNU. So if you have ESPN Plus, you can pick up that game.
And sometimes it works.
Well, if you have Plus, you should be able to pick it up. No, you don't think so?
Some of the games earlier this year I couldn't, but every year it says ESPNU for the Florida Classic, and I can get it with Plus. So I don't know what it is about the Florida Classic, but other times if it's on the U, I'm going to be able to get it with my just an ESPN Plus subscription. And another note, sorry to interrupt, but with the multiple games, I don't know how it's possible, but I know talking with Kenya, she has Apple TV and it allows for multi-screen.
4-picture thing. Yeah, I keep trying to do that and I cannot get that to work. Must be an Apple TV thing.
I think it's an Apple TV because I looked it up that weekend when I saw her do it. It's an Apple TV feature and somebody else, but I don't think it's a feature it's not embedded in ESPN.
Not with my Roku.
And I don't think Roku either. I think it's Apple Plus and one other service, maybe YouTube or somebody like that allows it. I'd have to check into it, but yeah, she had allowed multiple screens and took a picture of it for one of our games, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, why would you even leave the house?"
Yeah,
and no, Kevin, it's not just a smart TV. It's got to be more than a smart TV.
Yeah, it's like getting ESPN on, and I'm just using the Fire Stick for example. But for example, if you had Fire Stick or Roku or Hulu, however you watch the ESPN app, there's got to be a way that lets you do all that.
Yes, let me look that up real quick. Well, keep going, but yeah, we got a lot of.
The times on the graphic that you see, if you're watching us, are all Central Time, just in case you guys didn't pick that up. So that's Alcorn Jackson State is at 3 Eastern. Alabama State at Prairie View is 3 Eastern. The final game for Clarence McKinney at Texas Southern is 3 Eastern. Reports are coming out.
Is that official?
It's not official, but the reports are that he's at the end of a contract. They did not offer him an extension, and the word is starting to get out that now this could change, but there's word that they are not going to offer a new contract. So it's not that he's getting fired. It's just that supposedly they're not going to offer a new contract. They've said he's been there 5 years, with the exception of this year. Obviously, I think large part to Andrew Body being hurt. The team started 1-10 his first season, and they have gotten better every year. I mean, this recruiting class, the guys like Ladarius Owens, they are his recruits. Andrew Body is one of his recruits. So this was supposed to be a year that Texas Southern was probably going to win or could win 7 games. I think a lot of people thought maybe even 8. They had a tough schedule, but as we've seen this team, it's not a shabby team. This is not a bad team. They had some, I think scheduling hurt them. That schedule at the beginning of the season after they lost, after they lost that game to, who did they lose that game to?
Prairie View?
Yeah, after they lost that game to Prairie View, I told you that changed everything, didn't it? Because then they lost the next 3 games, which were all, I think, FCS or FBS teams. And it just wasn't the same. So, yes, Bull says Samsung Smart TV. Is that what you added in there, Marcus? As what that?
I put a link in. I looked on ESPN and it says it's available through Apple TV and Xbox. So I don't know how old that article is, but it talked about ESPN multicast for Xbox if you're looking at the games, or through Apple TV, where you can get the 4 screens. I don't know if they've added that other feature because I don't have. Well, we do have an Xbox. My son has one, so I could try that. But I don't have Apple TV, and I don't know if there's any other way that they support it now. But I just Googled that use Google to find that article, but hopefully they'll improve it and add that feature to some other venues and streaming methods.
All right. Just a reminder, folks, the SWAC Championship game coming to Tallahassee December 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. That's big time. Today, if you caught the 220 Club, and there's our good AD, VP AD Sykes. Always excited when we win. She dropped some nuggets at the 220 Club, and then of course the FAMU did what they normally do, which is drop some post here in terms of tickets. Okay, so if you're an Investing in Champions ticket holder, your tickets for the SWAC Championship game are available, and you have early access to your tickets until Tuesday, November 21st at 5 p.m. And then on Wednesday, general public tickets will go on sale. Now, I've been reaching out back and forth with the SWAC office, trying to get certain details. And so, for example, I've been trying to find out, is this FAMU getting a certain number of tickets, like 40% of the tickets? What sections do these tickets entail? Is it half the stadium on the home side, or is it different sections? We heard AD Sykes say that parking is kind of unique. And so again, one of the main things she said is that nothing that applied to your season tickets or Investing in Champions package applies to this game. It's just what, Kelvin? You get first opportunity to buy your tickets. Is that how that works? Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're an Investing in Champions person, you get the first opportunity to buy tickets, which I like that. That's a perk of being a season ticket holder. In a larger sense, if we had more season tickets, they'd do a raffle. But probably we don't have a full capacity of season ticket or Investing in Champion people that take up all the available tickets, right? So you get first come, first serve, and then there's going to be a leftover for general, public. How many tickets can you purchase? Stuff like that, I don't know. That will be a phone call. You see that number there? That 850 number, the FAMU box office, that's who you call. And I'm sure.
Good luck with that. You'll be leaving a message. Just let you know, you will be leaving a message. They'll call you back. Maybe.
They call you back?
No comment.
Okay. Eventually they'll get back to you. It may not be it may not be when you want it, but they'll call you back. Make sure to leave your number and speak clearly. Any updates on parking? I don't know. Were there any updates on parking?
She mentioned something, and I guess for those who may not have watched, I guess some of the intel, I guess they were doing the live show, the 220 QB Club, and she wasn't able to attend, but I don't know if she was listening or if someone sent her say, hey, you need to call in. But she called into the show, and Vaughn had the cell phone up to the mic, and she was trying to get details. For parking, what I recall was that she mentioned that 200 spots needed to be reserved for the SWAC and their sponsors.
For the SWAC, yep.
And so everyone who had parking with their Investing in Champions, there's no guarantee that your spot's still available, but there are spots that you can purchase. I guess it's purchase. I don't know. I guess, reserve, but there's no guarantee that the spots that you had as a Investment in Champions would still be reserved, because this is a SWAC event and they're doing that. She did mention garage parking. I think she was going to check on that, but I think she said it may still be viable and you keep the same spot, but I'm not sure. She's going to check, and I'm just giving second, third hand from what she said over the cell phone. But a lot of seating and some arrangements in the stadium. I think that she said north end zone, there's no travel back and forth, I guess, along the
But the north end zone, that's not going to be. I didn't think that was going to be controlled by FAMU.
No. What I'm saying is that I don't think there's going to be regular traffic, say, between the north and south ends of the end zone, because they don't want fans. I think the way she put it, or ways relate to her, and the way that I recall when she said it today, was they don't want any interaction with the student athletes and any of the fans as it relates to anything. My assumption, these are my words, not hers, but anything that could jump off. So they're not allowing, like, or it doesn't sound like allowing. We could review the tape for the 220 QB club when she was on there, but it sounds like we're not having traffic back and forth between the north part of the stadium and the second.
Bull says it's the south end zone. The south end zone is where the field house is.
Mm-hmm.
That may be.
So thanks for the clarity, but in essence, they're trying to minimize and control traffic around that area, so there won't be any interaction with the student athletes. So there's a few changes and things that I guess she'll have to.
That makes sense. That whole thing should be cut off. There's way too many people that get it, that free pass walk through there anyway. So it just, hey, you want to, you got to walk around, or you got to walk the other way. I don't know.
It's been that way before.
It has, and look, there, more information will come out. You just got to be patient, folks. And I know we want more, and this is fluid. And again, like I said, FAMU wrapping up again, it's very unprecedented in the SWAC that a team has wrapped up the conference before the month of November. Usually this is about the time when maybe you got one team already figured out and you then figure out the next team. You know what I'm saying? It usually comes down to the last week or two. So it's very unusual that Rattler Nation has been sitting on for 2 weeks. Ooh, when can we get our tickets? Come on, and it's like the SWAC is like, whoa, slow down, Rattlers, slow down. We got all these other championships that we're trying to finish up before we even get to football. So that's the truth. So just bear with.
Mm-hmm. And I think she also mentioned there might be some sponsor zones. I think remember something about it because I listened to it again this afternoon.
Oh, there sure
like
will be
a GM zone or some other zone, Pepsi zone or something like that. Some of the sponsors might have little display areas, I think, in and around the stadium. Once again, of course, if they're major sponsors, then they kind of have some leeway in that regard. So that's going to be some more footprint and real estate that's going to be taken up that otherwise might have been open or taken by some other school-specific entities.
Mm-hmm. We appreciate you, Jaws. 2003. Big shout out to Kelvin, one of the best supervisors he's ever worked under. Kelvin, when you do right by people, people come back and they show love. And so shout out to appreciate you, Jaws. And that's why we got Kelvin. That's why a little early birthday gift to the boy Kelvin. That's right, birthday coming up on Saturday. Our heavenly birthday to our brother Kofi on Friday. So his birthday is one day before Kelvin. So on Friday, while we're sporting our orange and green, you make sure to wear your "What Up Boy" Kofi t-shirts, especially if you are in Orlando at the Classic. Make sure you wear that Kofi shirt on Friday in honor of our boy's birthday, and tweet out some photos. Make sure you hit that hashtag LL Kofi on Friday. And then on Saturday, we're going to celebrate Kelvin's birthday, and we'll go from there. So make sure you guys take care of our people. Any other football related notes that you want to get into before we kind of pivot over to action on the courts?
No, I think we covered everything now.
Well,
nope.
Maybe we'll talk about it later. Not for this season.
What?
Next season.
Oh, that whole schedule thing?
Yeah.
Did you make a graphic thing for that?
Yep. But I don't know how prolonged it's going to be because it's, we're gonna do like the little bingo thing. I don't know if you refreshed the.
I did.
Okay.
You put it at the end somewhere.
Yep.
All right, let's do this. Let's. I don't want to take a break. I want to keep going here while we're here and we're finishing up. Let's transition to basketball for a moment, and mention a couple of items. Again, hey, I just saw a promotion here on the athletic website. Hold on, where'd it go? Come back. How do I get it to go back? Hey, promoting the FAMU basketball doubleheader November 20th at the Al Lawson Center, 4 p.m. That's when the women play University of California. 8 p.m. is when the men take on
Oregon.
And those tickets, it's a Ticketmaster link. So you can actually, if you're on the FAMU Athletics website, there's a big banner there at the top. It'll take you to Ticketmaster. You can purchase tickets, or you can call 850-599-3141. I hope that's not the FAMU box office, is it?
3141? Yes.
Yeah. Well, they might be a little busy, but you can still try to call. May be able to get your tickets, but you may find it better to go to Ticketmaster, purchase your tickets. I'm gonna be coming up to Tallahassee. Everybody from Orlando should go to Tallahassee. We should all be in Tallahassee and pack the pit out for that game, because we got 2 games that we really need to. I'm hoping that we can put at least 5 to 6 in a 10,000 seat arena. That's my hope. My hope is that we can put 5 to 6. Florida, the Florida men, when we played them on Tuesday, they had about 6,600 in that large arena that they have. So I think we can definitely put 5 to 10 in that contest. All right, so for the men, got to give a shout out here to freshman KJ Parker. In his first week of collegiate basketball, true freshman, KJ Parker was named the SWAC Impact Player of the Week after his performance in Nebraska. That was the second of 2 for the Rattler men last week in the state of Nebraska. Of course, they opened against Creighton and then Nebraska. Parker averaged 12.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists in per game in those 2 games. He did start both of them. He led the Rattlers in scoring, rebounds, and assists at the Nebraska game with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Shout out to, and if you heard our interview with Coach, he kind of told you KJ was gonna get some time. I mean, he was really impressed with him, and the young man didn't look like a freshman. Played really well.
Yeah.
And I think if you watched the Florida game, you came away even more impressed with him and the team, I think. Yes, we did lose, that game 89-68. But, I start thinking about the positives. That line opened at 27, shot all the way up to 34, which means people were putting a lot of money on Florida to beat us up. And we only lost by 21. So if you were a FAMU backer, hey, you were happy. You came away. We covered expectation. We played well. We scored 68 points. The previous 2 games, I think we had scored 54. 68 points is pretty doggone good, I think. And that young man right there, I need some more love. More love means Love Bettis. Get to know the name, ladies and gentlemen. Love Bettis scored 24 points in the contest.
His first of the season.
His first
because
came off
he didn't play in Nebraska. I don't even think he made the trip.
I think he made the trip. I don't think he played though. I think I saw
He
him.
did not play. I know he did not play.
Okay, well, he played in the Creighton game. I thought. No. Okay. All right. Anyway, but he played 27 minutes, shot 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 5 from the 3-point arc, 3 of 3 at the free throw line, 24 points, had 4 steals, shot the ball and looked really well. Shannon Grant, our big fella, Shannon Grant, down low, he scored 15 points on 7 of 10 from the field in 22 minutes. Grabbed 4 rebounds. Keith Lamar had 8 points and 9 rebounds. Lamar played 25 minutes, just 3 of 9 from the field. But overall, a much better performance. KJ Parker, if you wanted to know, logged 32 minutes, scored 9 points. Had a tough shooting night, but he still he had 3 steals, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Still a good game for him. Overall, I was impressed. FAMU, we outshot Florida from the 3-point arc, which is always, if you're going to stay in games against major opponents, is how you do in a 3-point arc. We shot 38.5% on 5 of 13 shooting. Florida was just 6 of 19, which is 31.6%. So that's pretty good, out shooting Florida. Problem was they outbigged us down low. We had 34 points in the paint. They had 44. They went to the free throw line 25 times. We went to the free throw line 6 times.
Oof.
Yeah, so there's your 20-point margin right there, just at the free throw line alone. But that happens. Any other thoughts? What about that performance from the men, guys? What are your thoughts?
I didn't witness it firsthand. But I guess from the margin of defeat, considering how we lost to Nebraska, I guess we're improving, and it sounds like we got at least one player back that we didn't have before that helped us to kind of reduce that scoring margin. So they're getting some good playing time. I don't see how they performed. I can only look at the box score, so I don't know how well they matched up. From the highlights, it looks like at least I don't know how to pronounce his name, June Luis or something like that. He wasn't afraid. He showed at least 2 dunks where he's trying to drive in the hoop. So they're not playing scared. It just might be
Hans Louis June.
Yes, Hans Louis June.
Hans Louis June.
We might be out physicaled, maybe out talented, but we're not playing scared. We're not, just rolling it out there and just keeling over.
Yeah, we just got to get we got to get everybody on the floor. I went back to check. I know the announcer for the Florida game had mentioned it, that Love hadn't played, and I went back to check, and he didn't play against either of the teams in Nebraska. So, his ability to create his own shot is going to be real big in terms of our offensive production. Him and KJ both have the capability of creating their own shots, and he actually showed some range also, because he hit a few threes, and the Florida offense was really good. As long as you got one of them on the floor at any time, and of course there's moments when they're together, they are very difficult because they great ball handlers. Both of them are very great ball handlers, and they great at shooting off the dribble. So that piqued my interest because Florida's long. They were very tall, but and one of the guys KJ played with at Florida in the same backcourt. So and he outplayed him, frankly. But so I understand that there's another guard that I don't think none of us was expecting should be announced in the next week or so that be coming back. And he's a true point guard, and he was here before. And you add those three guards with and that means that KJ can play some two at times, as well as Love can play some two at times. This team, I think, once we get into conference play, that's when you can really judge them. But I see some opportunities, and then of course, I saw someone in the chat. If we put a shootout there with that group, I really be optimistic. But the big man, Shannon Grant, he showed some post moves and some capabilities, good length. So we'll just have to keep watching. You know, Brian know me. I'm a show me kind of guy, but I did see some things that I can latch on to.
Did we get two big guys? Has the other one, second one played?
He
got in
played
there.
too.
He was in there. He was in there. Did okay. 3 of 6 from the field. Played about 18 minutes. So we got a couple of guys who are 6'10". We are a bigger team than what we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we got bars still.
Yeah, the question is going to be is how well we shoot.
It's going to come down to guard play.
Limit the turnovers,
just like it is in the NBA and everywhere else outside of Jokic.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you get one of those unicorns, unless you get one of those kind of unicorns, it always going to come down to guard play. And can guys? Well, we know we can defend, but can we shoot the ball? We know that a Coach McCollum team is usually going to be able to defend. And what frustrated me watching the game is just little opportunities when we were at the rim or could have made an easy basket. And it's like we get the ball, like, I'm going to go coach mode here. Like, we get the ball on the right low block, and instead of dropping baseline and finish with a right hand, the young man turns inside to his left, goes jump hook and misses. And I'm just like, God, no, wrong way. I'm like, drop baseline and slap the glass and put the ball. But I guess the kids don't slap the glass no more. They got to go dunk it. But I'm hell. Back in the day, you just drop step, slap glass, and go on down the other end. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So again, opening night is Monday for the men, 8 p.m. against the University of Oregon. I don't know what more. Oregon is 2-0 on the year so far. If you want to get a good gauge of them, they play Tennessee State on Friday. So far, they're 2-0. They play Tennessee State on Friday at home. So this is really the first true road game for Oregon coming up to Tallahassee, or traveling out to Tallahassee. So we'll kind of see how they react to it. Quick mention about our women. The ladies came back from their Tennessee trip. They ended up losing to Florida 92-54. I don't know. Something must have gone on with the box score, because there's no box score here on the website. The Twitter feed stopped posting tweets somewhere third quarter. I know that I don't know what went on with that, but that was unfortunate. But the game was on, so who knows? Maybe we could have, if I hadn't fallen asleep at the couch watching that game, I could have maybe retweeted some stuff. But the Lady Rattlers are 0-3 right now.
Watch that game. Watch that game. I mean, you kind of knew it's going to take time, and with the schedules, the caliber of talent teams they're playing, that you're going to take some lumps. Again, this game they got off to a better start than the Middle Tennessee They were competitive in the first quarter. I can't remember, but it was like 6 points maybe at the end of the first quarter, and even at half it wasn't ridiculous. But essentially out rebounded. Florida again was long, and then turnovers. I think we were kind of high on turnovers. There's always free throw discrepancy, and then eventually, as you wear down those scoring spurts, we got to minimize those scoring spurts where we're not scoring. So, they're playing hard. I love the effort. There is some talent there, but it's tough to compete with the teams they're playing right now, and they just don't have enough size and athleticism in the post. And then I think they're missing a point guard. Grizzle can take people off the dribble at any time, but her offense is suffering because of both decision making and just how many minutes she have to play and spend so much in it, both on the offensive and defensive side. But when she goes out the game, our turnover ratio goes up heavily because we just don't have another point guard. If this team had another point guard, they'd be pretty good.
Yeah. I was looking at the roster here, trying to see who that other guard was supposed to be. And I don't know if it was supposed to be Zero Sylvester.
Mm-hmm. Is it Peronia?
Yeah. She's a North Florida transfer.
She came in last year.
Oh, she did?
I don't know. I don't remember her getting a lot of playing time or something, but I don't know if she was injured. But yeah, I think she came in last year.
Well, I know it's not Subarets. I love Subarets, but she is not our point guard. I'm just gonna say that flat out. I mean, I love her game. I love what that girl needs opportunities to shoot and asking. And we saw what happened last year when you get stuck asking her to be the point guard. That's where it starts.
A lot of turnovers, and then Florida had a point guard as the truth, and she was putting it on him.
Hey, look,
she could not guard, and then no disrespect, it ain't her fault, but
that's a good squad. That Florida,
yeah. Well, I don't know about the squad, but that point guard, that guard is the truth.
So here's what I've seen in the three opponents that they have faced. Right, they faced a post player from Tennessee who's probably going to be in the Naismith or the Women's College Player of the Year running. I mean, if Tennessee's going to be great, it's going to be on her heels. They got a couple of bigs. Nice. Then they ran into a Middle Tennessee State team that shot the hell out of the ball. I mean, they just shot lights out. Doesn't matter how close you were or how many hands, they just shot lights out as a team. And then you run up against a team like Florida that's got a couple of dynamic guards. So, I mean, you kind of run into just three different styles of players and play. And, yeah, it's been like, wow. So, I don't know what Oregon's going to come up with, but we'll be paying attention. Or, I'm sorry, Cal. That's who they play, Cal. So the women play Cal at 4:00, and then there's a bit of there'll be about an hour and a half gap, technically 2 hours, but that's for television, and we are working on being there. I'll tell you that. I'll let you in on something. Kelvin and I will be there, and AD Drew will be in the house. So who knows? We might be able to do from Lawson a pregame and a mid intermission break as well from Lawson. So that'll be on Monday. So make sure to check that out and stay tuned for that. All right, let's talk about let's pivot off the women and let's talk about these ladies right here. Our Lady Rattlers are in Prairie View, Texas, or traveling to Prairie View, Texas as we speak. They They picked up a win on Senior Day against Bethune, winning 3-1. Pretty good performance by the ladies. I thought they were going to get their, sixth consecutive sweep. Had they won it,
It should have been.
It should have been.
Because I was there, and they were up, 23-19 at some point, something like that in that last set. The set that they lost, and then they allowed them to come back, and I think it went over 25. I think we lost like 28-26 or something. And then I had to leave and take my little one because I had her with me to get something to eat. I was like, man, I was trying to be home. I was trying to be home for dinner. I can't stay for this fourth set.
Yeah, the final, it was 28-26
in the third set.
In that third set, and that had snapped, as I'm reading here, a 17 consecutive set wins run. Of course, that's 5 matches and then 2/3 of that fifth. And then, of course, then they closed out the fourth set 25-17 as FAMU jumped out to an early lead in that one. 3 players were in double figures in digs. Brooke Hudson with 27, Brooklyn Watts with 14, Camila De La Rosa with 11. Dominique Turner had a match-high 3 aces. We never trailed in the first and second set. Melania Thornton. Yeah, a name we hadn't heard often. She had a match-high 12 kills. And De La Rosa recorded a match-high 33 assists. The awards will probably come out tomorrow. They usually do the awards the day before. The tournament starts on Friday. So tomorrow, at some point in the afternoon or late, maybe early evening, they'll have their honors. And I think I'd be shocked if Brooke Hudson is not the defensive player or libero of the year. I think Camila De La Rosa may be in the hunt for newcomer of the year or setter of the year, one of the two. Although the young lady from Alabama State who recently set a record, she might be in the running as well. And with them being unbeaten, that may give her the edge. And then really player of the year is what's going to be interesting. That's what's going to be interesting. I didn't pull up the stats, but Marcus, or somebody want to do that, I'll introduce this playoff bracket here. Those were the final scores from the last weekend on the volleyball circuit. And thus, after that, here's the volleyball tournament. So the seeding begins and the play begins on Friday. As you can see, we are the last game on Friday night, which is 6:30, taking on Grambling. I'm trying to see, did we give up any matches to Grambling during the year? Did we play Grambling during the season? We did play Grambling over in Daytona Beach back on October 30th. We beat them 3-0 in the only other meeting that we had against them. Should we win that contest, we'll move to the semifinals on Saturday, about the same time as the kickoff of the Classic, or maybe an hour after. Nope, a couple hours after, because that 4:30 time is Central Time. So technically that's 5:30 Eastern. So about halftime. By about halftime, after the Battle of the Bands, that's when that semifinal match will take place. And we'll play the winner of Prairie View, who's the host school, and Texas Southern. Two schools that, obviously Texas Southern, we lost to 3-2.
After being up 2-0.
Being up 2-0. That was also
that was that midnight game.
Yes, that
Yeah.
was a midnight game. Exactly. That's the game that we played them on Saturday, and then we finished on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, or vice
Right.
versa.
Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, we started on Sunday and finished on Monday. So we had a 2-0 lead on Sunday, and then we ended up losing on Monday. So that's kind of how that rolled. But
If we circle back, I'm looking at the SWAC stats, and it looks like Kylie Owens from Prairie View, she leads in kills, total number of kills, the number of service aces, and total points for the SWAC. And Brooklyn Watts for FAMU is second in points, second in kills.
yeah, they'll probably give it to the girl from Prairie View.
And I'm sorry, not just somebody else from Prairie View. So I'm thinking Kylie Owens. I would say she's the leader going into the clubhouse for the SWAC Volleyball Player of the Year, with probably a close second by Brooklyn Watts.
Yeah, Brooklyn may end up on the first team.
She may end up first team.
Yeah,
Just looking at the stats, if they just go off of that for points, service aces, and kills, she's number one in those three categories. That she'll, like young lady from Prairie View, probably get Player of the Year.
All right. And then, of course, going back to the tournament format there, then the championship game is set for 4:00 Eastern, 3 Central on ESPN. So a great opportunity to support the ladies. Sunday at 2. Or 4, actually. 4. Yeah, it's 3 Central.
3. Oh, that's a 3.
Yeah,
I can't hardly see it.
I can't hardly see it either. I only happened to look at it earlier. So yeah, it would have been nice if they'd have made it bigger, but it is what it is. Yeah.
But a very favorable bracket for our team.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
I am looking for us to be in that championship game for sure.
Yeah, I would love to see the 2 Alabama schools have to face off in the semis on the other side of the bracket, and at that point, you throw that 1 versus 4 seed stuff out the window, because that's Bulldogs and Hornets, and who knows, the Hornets could actually win. Hey, don't sleep on Jackson State as the 3 seed. I would not be surprised.
They're a 5 seed.
Are they the 5? Okay, well, there it goes. But I'm just saying, don't be surprised. I won't be surprised if Jackson State somehow finds their way into the championship game. That's my dark horse. If it's not going to be Alabama State, I think Jackson State could find their way into winning that other side of the bracket.
Now, Alabama A&M has been really hot. I mean, they'd put a hurting. Well, no, I think they beat us 3-2. And I was kind of surprised at that. But then looking back,
we were up 2-0 again. We were up 2-0 again on Alabama A&M, and then lost. Again, we had never lost a set to Alabama A&M prior to somehow losing 3. That's what I would have loved to have talked to Coach Gokhan and find out what happened in that game against Alabama A&M. There, we hadn't lost to them in forever, and then we just all of a sudden, lost 3 straight.
We just have games. Hey, we just have games. It happened to us the third set against Bethune. We have a set where we make a lot of service errors, and we make a lot of kill errors where we hitting the ball too far and so forth, and it seems to snowball, and it takes us a set to get back reset. That's what I've seen, but. It's unusual because we've lost at least 5 games this year in 5 sets, and almost all of them we were up 2-0.
Yeah. In conference and non-conference.
Yeah.
Because I think, who was it, Citadel or somebody, we played them twice for some reason. Once in in an early season tournament, and another basically in South Carolina. We lost 3-2, both of those, because it seemed like early on in the season, we were hovering around. We were below 500, but if it not for 2 or 3 5-set losses, we might have been at 500 just in our non-conference schedule at some point in the season, like early on, like September.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marcus, I want to give us a few minutes here, maybe about 5 minutes or so,
Oh yeah,
and just
that's
kind
fine.
of put a bow on these recruiting nuggets. We appreciate you kind of putting together the graphics here on all of the recruits. So let's move through these by you got them by sport and name. So let's move through what we got here.
Yes, this is softball. I could not find the second person that Coach Patterson mentioned last week that was offered. I didn't see anything out there, but this is the person we actually spoke about last week, Braxton Battle from Grayson High School in suburban Atlanta. And those are her accolades. She made the all-region team for fall softball. So this is only updated through the fall season. Of course, so they're graduating spring 2024. We'll update certain pieces of it for her team record and any accolades she gets after the spring season.
All right, moving over from the softball field to the volleyball court, we got a pair of volleyball players.
Yes, no, we had the great opportunity to meet Miss Johnson last week, her and her family. She's on the second slide of this. But while I was searching for that second volleyball recruit, I came across this name. I'm sorry, second softball recruit. Found this second volleyball recruit, Tamia Coleman, out of Palm Beach Central High School, and she actually plays basketball as well. So, and I didn't see any accolades for volleyball, and I did a quick search, but she made second team. I'm sorry, she was a captain for the Palm Beach Central last year in 22-23, and she made second team basketball for the Palm Beach Post, an all-county team. And she goes about 6'2", 190, according to what I could find from her basketball. And the team made it through the district semifinals in Class 7A.
But she's a volleyball recruit.
She's a volleyball recruit.
Okay. Oh. Interesting. I wonder if Coach Gordon knows about her. There, of course, is our good friend, Natalie Johnson, friend of the show, who came on last week, a legacy rattler. So good to see Natalie. Cool picture.
For volleyball, yep. And the next few will be all baseball. And some of these I think we covered last week.
Justin Lopez we did talk about last week.
So I guess it went to, I don't know if the TXL Academy, if TNXL Academy, if it's post-secondary or a high school specifically for baseball, because I thought the last thing I saw from him was Lake Mineola in 2023, but then it listed him as a junior in Max Preps, and then next thing you know is at TNXL. So I don't know if it's like a finishing school or a post-secondary school, or if it was like a IMG Academy type for baseball. But he signed, and you can see from the picture there. So we have an infielder, we have outfielder Corey Fortson, who's the son of an alum. At least I think I've seen the mom on social media. I don't know if the dad's an alum as well, but he's a big boy, 6'2", 220 outfielder from Westlake High School in Atlanta. And those are there.
Working on trying to get an interview. He, our good friend, Bobby Swoop of the Swoop Report, is a friend of the family, and so I told Bobby to work on trying to get Mr. Fortson, young Mr. Fortson, so we might get him on the show in another week or two, maybe, hopefully.
Okay. So outfielder, the majority of our signees are high school. I think we have one verbal commitment who's the JUCO so far. Trey Kraft for Umatilla High School. He signed Friday afternoon around 1:30. This is courtesy of the Umatilla High School Facebook page showing his signing. And he's a catcher. Once again, he's big. His listed stats are 6'3", 215 as a catcher. So I don't know if there's going to be too many people running him over at home plate.
No, that's a big boy. Hopefully he's got a good arm too. 6'3", 215.
Joshua Bell out of West Orange High School is an infielder. Goes 5'11", 185. And
I think we mentioned him last week too.
We did.
Okay.
and we're seeing a lot of players, I guess, with the exception of Mr. Kraft. All of them seem to be either the top level or one tier below of competition or classification in the state of Florida. Jay Campbell out of Leon High School, going 5'11", 200 at third base. And we see they made the regional final. Garrett Workman, this signing just came through today. He verbally committed, I think, in August or September. But his signing, literally, the pictures just came out today, and I was checking. He's a pitcher, and for North Florida Christian, playing at the Class 2A level, but he was all Democrat, the Tallahassee Democrat, all Big Bend first team baseball team. So I'm expecting that means he's got some talent, and it was perhaps maybe even a coup type signing for us.
Yes.
You always want to find out what's his fastball clocked at. Is it clocking in the 90s? That's what
I have not checked his. I've not checked out his stats or his perfectgame.com profile.
Okay.
But I did see where he did make the first team as a junior. He made all Big Bend first team, and I don't know. I didn't check to see if he made all state, but once again, keeping some talent home. And he's a big guy for a pitcher, 6'2", 200. Sometimes we have varying sizes in our pitching staff, but he looks like he's got some meat to him.
All right, and then we got a track athlete.
Yes, Ariana Ladson, and we may have briefly mentioned her last week, but she's out of Maryland, and she actually transferred high school. She was out Mount Hebron in Ellicott City, Maryland. I'm not sure where that proximity is to Baltimore or the DC area, but she transferred to Woodlawn High School in Baltimore. But as you can see, her accolades before she transferred in this past track season in spring of 2023, she was the Washington Post girls outdoor track and field all-Met first team. She was voted Howard County Times / Baltimore Sun indoor or girls indoor track and field athlete of the year.
Yeah, wow.
And she medaled for the Maryland Public Schools Athletic Association. She was first place in Class 3A for the gold. Well, she won the gold for the 300 meter and the 200 meter, and she won the bronze for the long jump.
Yep. Man, Coach G getting them, isn't he? Go ahead, Coach G. Man, I love this. I doesn't it warm your heart, guys? Like, when you see these young kids signing and they got that FAMU gear on, and you see the tables made up and the families got the flag. Just I don't know, it just kind of gives me chills. Because you feel like our program, it feels like our program is just as valued as every other program that that gets extra coverage from these recruiting sites. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's trending in the right direction, no doubt.
It is, man. So I appreciate, man. I love the fact you guys don't understand. I mean, hopefully you do. Hopefully you see it. Marcus puts a great deal of investment in gathering this info, and so that's why I wanted to make sure we show this and spotlight these young people and these future Rattlers, because this is the kind of stuff we'll be talking about these folks in 2 to 3 years. You know what I'm saying? When they first hit campus and then they start doing their thing. So good work, Marcus, man. Love this stuff.
And in the chat, what I'm going to do, because actually I think Woodlawn High School, they taped her signing ceremony and put it on Instagram. I'll see if I can find that link. I have it in the pit, but I'll see if I can post it here. And it's like 10 minutes long, but there was a pretty resounding cheer because she didn't reveal it at the end. I think she already verbally committed because I saw an Instagram post, but when she zipped her coat down, there was a loud cheer, when she said she's going to FAMU. So hopefully, that speaks to our program and the reputation that we have and the effort that coach is putting out there as it relates to track, but may also be leveraged in other things as well. So I'm gonna see if I can find that Instagram.
All right, good stuff. before we get into our bold predictions for the contest, and Kelvin, you want to let people know what can we tell people about our tailgate, our pre-show for Saturday down at the Florida Classic?
Well, we're gonna be I think it's lot G now. It used to be lot L, but it's on the corner of Carter and South Tampa. So right along the sidewalk there. We're gonna broadcast live with Piston Sounds, Mr. Leon Pitts. And so it'll be some good music, some good food, and we're gonna talk a little football. So, and it's my birthday, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my goodness, I don't know what kind of bottle I'm gonna bring, but I'm gonna find you send me a DM or something. I'll make sure we. So I don't know how it's a long. I put it like this, Kelvin. It's a long walk from that lot to the stadium. So I'm hoping I make it to the stadium. Put it like that, especially if we
do need a golf cart.
Yeah, we might need a golf cart. So if anybody has a golf cart and would like to be a part of our show and our tailgate, we would love to have you come meet us at the spot and then golf cart us. Exactly. Golf cart us to the stadium, because that's a long walk. And I don't know. That's a long walk, especially if we do any kind of day drinking in celebration of Kelvin's birthday. That's going to be a long walk. So if you have a golf cart, hit us up. Twitter, DM us, help some brothers out. We'd love to help and support. And don't worry about the food and drinks on me. I got you. Don't worry about it. Hey, one of the nuggets we got to mention here is a projected 2024 schedule. Coach Simmons kind of dropped some interesting nuggets. A lot of the schedules, if you go to, what's that site that does the schedule?
FBSschedules.com.
Yeah, FBSschedules.com has sort of put together a lot of our schedules. We know what most of the non-conference looks like. The exact dates are slowly starting to trickle in. Okay. Next year and in 25, FCS schools can play 12 games because of the way the calendar falls. You can play 12 games. So here's an early look at our schedule with some open dates and dates we got to figure out. The SWAC schedule matrix is already out. It's not public, but it's out. So it's just a matter of whether teams are going to release that kind of information yet. For example, that's why FAMU was able to say that they were hosting homecoming when they were hosting it against who they're hosting it against. Mm-hmm. It's why Alabama State chose October 5th to have their homecoming against FAMU in Montgomery, Alabama. So we found out that particular date. We knew the non-conference games. Obviously, the week 0 game is August 24th against Norfolk State. We knew the August 31st date was in Tallahassee against South Carolina State. We knew September 7th was against Miami. We knew we're going to Troy, Alabama on September 21st. So that's 5 games right there, correct?
Mm-hmm. And the first 4 we've known for months because they were mostly out of conference contracts. So the big questions were the scheduling dates for the conference games. And so Alabama State, I'm sorry, the SWAC conference game. So I think that was last week when Alabama A&M announced when we would play them, or maybe a week and a half. I'm saying Alabama State, and then like a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks is when we said something about homecoming.
Right. So we announced that, hey, so obviously we got 2 back-to-back weekends, which is interesting because usually we kind of try to have a bye before homecoming, but not so much this year. So that's going to be a crazy week where, October, and of course this is unofficial, I'll say that, but Coach Simmons did kind of put it out there in the 220 Club that we're playing Southern the week before homecoming. Well, we knew homecoming was on November 2nd, and guess what? Guess it was the week before. Southern, we knew the Florida Classic was on that date listed there. All right.
Well, I don't think it's been released yet. We're kind of guessing just based on having 14 weeks of 14 Saturdays within the
But I'm gonna tell you,
framework.
that may be off, though. I'm gonna tell you why that may be off. You got to find out when Thanksgiving is, because if Thanksgiving is
it's after that.
It is. I think it's like the 27th or 28th.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then you're probably right then that is the Florida
Yeah.
Classic week,
Yeah.
which is always before Thanksgiving because the Bayou is after. So then that means we've got 2 open dates in November. We're just waiting to see. So what we've already done is half of the SWAC schedule is figured out. Okay.
Mhm.
We do know that, let's see, Mississippi Valley State comes to FAMU.
Mhm. We go to Jackson.
We go to Jackson State. That's
We
another
go to
team.
Prairie View.
We go to Prairie View.
And A&M, Alabama A&M comes to us.
And then Alabama A&M comes to us. So now the question is, those 4 games, and that's what you see down there at the bottom, Jackson State, Valley, Prairie View, and A&M,
where they get placed. And Kelvin, correct me. I mean, not correct me, but when we have 14-week seasons, do we usually get 2 byes? Or we still have the one?
When you play week 0, yes. If you didn't have week 0, then you only get the 1.
Okay. So somehow, I mean, if we were to, play schedule bingo, we'd have to figure out where we think the best guess for the bye is and for the other thing. Because I was looking at it. It seems like we always seem to play Valley when we play them in Tallahassee, at least the one time we have. It was in September. And I think for them, when we go there, it always seems in October. I don't know if it's always going to fall the same, but I was trying to figure out, where our first bye and where Valley is going to fall, where Jackson State's going to fall. And Jackson State's the wild card because we typically play them in the first game of the season. So there's no calendar, there's no pattern.
If I had to guess, I know Coach Simmons probably pushing for that September 14th date as the first bye.
I would agree. I would too. I would push for that to be the bye, especially after playing Miami and thus playing 3 games in a row. That early in the season, I would push for that to be the bye. I would.
And if that's the case, my best guess, at least our first bye would be the 14th. Then my next guess would be on the 28th, probably Valley. So we'd have a home game in between Troy and Montgomery.
So which two?
Between Troy and
which two are the home games? Prairie View,
Valley, and Alabama A&M.
Valley and A&M. Okay, so that'll give us a total of 5. Right? 5 home games potentially.
Yes.
Okay. Now here, let me drop a nugget out here. A good friend of mine, a reliable source, has told me that there's work going on to potentially get one of those home games moved to a neutral site. Potentially somebody wanting to come in to offer, and I'm not talking Orange Blossom Classic. So let me.
I know what I know what they're referencing.
That was one of the questions, and I don't know what you guys are referencing. We can talk about it offline, but that was one of the questions in the 220 QB Club that led to the revelation of Southern. Somebody asked, "What have you heard about?" Asked Coach Simmons something about a game in Jacksonville, and he was saying, "Well," and I'm summarizing, and he can may correct me if I'm wrong, but in essence, it came out. He's like, "Well, we already know, if they're gonna move a game, we've already got things scheduled out." He said, "We've already got our non-conference kind of scheduled out through 229. I've only seen up through 2028 with UGA, I think, but he said up to 229, and the SWAC schedule is already decided for 2030. So if somebody's gonna move a game, they're gonna have to pay us. We're not. He said we're not doing it for a ham sandwich or anything else. You got to pay for the whole show."
And
with that, that's when he said, And I think someone
Yep.
else may have chimed in or followed up and said something about Alabama State scheduling us for homecoming. And he was like, well, it's like this. You try to schedule teams that, at least FAM tries to schedule strategically where we don't have teams that we know are going to already draw to have them as a home game. We try to have teams that may be far flung and may not bring as many fans or have as intense a rival, because you want to have basically two homecoming-like experiences with the true homecoming and Southern. He's like, yeah, we played Southern the week before homecoming, but Southern could have just easily been our homecoming, but we decided not to do that because we want to make sure we get a bang for the buck. So that's kind of how he secondhand revealed that the Southern game, but it was in the context of answering the question about being scheduled for Bama State's homecoming and whether it was disrespectful, and also the prospect of a non-conference game in Jacksonville. And he said, well, if somebody's going to come, they have to come correct and really correct.
I think there are only 3 schools that you would not schedule on homecoming. And I'm not saying that we haven't, because we have in the past. But if we're doing that whole strategic thing, as he says, I would not schedule Alabama State for homecoming. I would not schedule Southern for homecoming. And I would not schedule Jackson State for homecoming, because those are going to be draws regardless, and those are going to be big draws. Everybody else is open for fair game to come to homecoming. You know what I'm saying?
So that's how it came about in terms of revealing that Southern date. I mean, he wasn't pressed, but it just kind of slipped
rolled out the tongue.
Yeah.
And I'll say this about the whole Jacksonville thing, and I don't know if that's I'll be honest, I don't know if that's the rumor or not. I just know somebody told my source told me there was a game that might come off the ledger. And if it happened, looking at this schedule and looking at who's left, I would say I would want the Alabama A&M game if I'm the city of Jacksonville, or go one step further. Would it be potentially the city of Mobile, Alabama, coming to FAMU and saying, hey, FAMU, we'd like to, offer you a whole lot of cash to bring your home game against Alabama A&M to Mobile. We know Mobile has hosted Alabama A&M many times before, and it's a straight shot across I-10 for us, and a straight shot down 65 for them. I think it makes sense. I think so.
Okay.
That's just 2 cities that I would guess on. Again, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Kelvin's okay. I'm on the right page. I'm going in the right direction there, Kelvin.
I think we on the same page.
There you go. So, so it'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, I think the second bye would come after homecoming November 9th. I would think you'd have a bye week November 9th. And if you're lucky,
so who we pencil in for, say, if we assume the 28th of September, if that's going to be a home game, and maybe Valley, just based on the last time we played them, and Tallahassee, I think it was like late September. Say if we pencil in Valley there, who are we looking at for the 12th and the 19th?
See, I'd rather have Valley on the 16th. I'd rather have Valley in November.
Okay.
I got a feeling Jackson State would want us. See, the thing is, you would hate to try to have 3 road games in a row. That's the worry about, and I see what you're talking about trying to pencil in Valley in the 28th, so that way you're not playing 3 road games, right?
I heard some rumblings. I would think Jackson State is in one of those October slots on the road.
I think I would too, and if I were guessing, I would guess it'd be the October 12th, because it falls kind of in the middle of the month, and they don't have to use it as a homecoming game. And in that case, then you're talking about, what does October 19th look like?
That could be a candidate for the Alabama A&M game.
Yes, exactly. And it would make sense if you moved it, if it did happen to move.
Or Prairie View.
Ooh, but that's 3 straight away games.
That's 3 straight away games. See, I think you try to avoid 3 straight road games in 3 weeks.
The conference decides that.
I think the conference would try to avoid you having it. They would try to have you avoid playing 3 in 3 weeks. Now, not necessarily 3 and 4 weeks though. So that's where your bye comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we had that this year.
Exactly.
In October.
In October.
We had 3 straight road games with a bye.
I don't think they would do. I think we would fight that and just kind of be like, hey, we had no home games in October. And they're like, oh, you got so I think we would fight to get 2 home games in October. So yeah, now if we choose to give one of those home games away, that's on us, I guess, at that point. You know. But yeah. Interesting opportunity. So again, that's kind of what the speculation is. 4 teams for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, 6 weeks, which would so basically 2 byes and 4 opponents. So how would that look? There's Mike. Yeah. Mike, that's not happening. I don't think that would happen. It would make the most sense. I do agree. It would make the most sense because straight shot down 95 for them.
And we've done it before.
We have done it before. But I don't
but
think
you heard Brad.
This administration wouldn't want that. I don't think this administration wants that. Not after all the fuss about playing it at home. She would take the administration would take some egg on their face for that one.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of road games early, so
yeah.
The coach probably wouldn't be happy with that either.
No. I don't think he would either. All right. Let's talk bold predictions and then ready to get out of here for this show. Marcus, what kind of bold prediction do you have for this Florida Classic?
I'm not sure. Something strange is going to happen. I mean, I know it's ambiguous, but a game like this, something weird always happens. Like I want to say, what was it? Was it when Leroy Van was there? When we had either 2 or 3 straight kick returns for a touchdown or something like that. There was one game where it's like back to back and maybe even back to back kickoff returns for TDs.
I think it was 3 kickoff returns. I think so. It was
So I'm not predicting that, but something weird that's unusual is gonna happen in this game. I don't know what it is, and I can't even speculate. But
that's not bold. Come on, give me something bold. Think out the box. What hasn't happened this year? We've had a kick return. I tell you, we still have not had a
punt return touchdown.
I was going to say we have not had a punt return for a touchdown this year. We had kick return.
Yeah, we could have a punt return touchdown, unless you were going to take that one. I guess that's the. But I mean, I'm something more weird than that because we've seen like 2 back-to-back kickoff return or 3 back-to-back kickoff returns. Now that's weird in a classic game. So I don't know if that's going to happen again ever in life, but something like that, like I don't know, like the QB throwing the ball the wrong way or something like that.
Oh Lord,
BCU quarterback.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's like, oh Jesus.
So all right, I'm gonna just go. I'm just saying, all right, back-to-back kickoff return touchdowns.
Okay, back-to-back kickoff return touchdowns. Kelvin, you want to go last or you want me to go?
You go.
All right.
You go.
In honor of his last regular season game, his last Florida Classic, I'm going to go with my quarterback. I'm going to go with my guy. The last time I made a bold prediction with him, he came through for me. So I'm going to go deep in the woods with this one. 20-plus completions for Jeremy Musa. 350-plus passing yards. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 passing touchdowns. I got a feeling the receivers catch balls and all kinds of good stuff happens that maybe should have happened this past Saturday and other Saturdays. And it's just like it all comes together. So I'm going with the trifecta. Jeremy Musa, 20-plus completions, 350-plus passing yards, four passing touchdowns. That's bold. Beat that, Kelvin. What you got?
We set a lot of guys on the offensive side, especially BCU defense, and in particular Robinson is pretty elite, but his secondary is pretty good. So I'm not going to touch the offense, our offense versus their defense. Their offense, the quarterback play is mediocre. They've had some success running the ball. Our defense is not one that gives up a lot. I'm gonna say we're gonna hold them under 250 yards total offense.
Okay.
And let's go at least 2 turnovers and 2 sacks.
At least. I think that's fair.
At
I think all of that. I don't think that's bold. I think that's very doable.
I'm going with what I know.
Going with what I know. Okay. Okay. So again, we want to thank Brad Gillens for coming in and joining us earlier in the show. Just a simple reminder again for all of you, Friday, November 17th would be our brother Kofi's 53rd birthday. And so I'm asking all of you who watch the show or love Kofi, and if you bought a What Up Boy t-shirt, I'm going to ask you to wear that shirt on Friday. If you're in Atlanta, or I'm sorry, Orlando, wherever you're at. You may be in Atlanta. You may be in Tampa. You may be in D.C. Wherever you are, wear that shirt. Take a picture. Wherever you are, fangs up, and hit the hashtag LL Kofi. And that's what we're going to do on Friday. And then on Saturday, we're going to celebrate Kelvin Rozier's birthday. Kelvin, you want to tell the people how old you're going to be, or are we keeping that a secret?
I mean, man, you don't gave it away. Everybody know me and Kofi one day apart.
I did. Story. Oh, I did. Okay, well then there you go. So,
but no, I'm very proud. I'll be very proud. 53.
There you go. Amen. So we're gonna celebrate. We're gonna be at the tailgate spot. Pistons down on South Tampa and what's the street? Carter, right?
Yes.
Carter, near lot GF. I don't know.
G or L.
G or L. L.
Yeah.
L.
Whatever they call it now.
Yeah, but so be looking out for an announcement about that. We'll probably kick that maybe about 11 o'clock-ish. You know, we're going to try to do the tailgate and the show, and then give us enough time to kind of soak it up again. Anybody with a golf cart, we'd appreciate you, giving us that extra ride up to the stadium, because that's going to be a hump. The show, free drink and food for you. If you do that, we'll have a bottle, and we're going to have a toast to Kelvin on another birthday. So you come out and join us. Those of you who are fans of the show, make sure you come out and join us. Let's be ready to tailgate. Have a great time in the City Beautiful. Lots of things to do, whether you're going to go to Universal, City Walk, Disney, if you're going to the Battle of the Bands downtown. I mean, there's so much to do in this city, even just hanging out downtown. Be safe and wear orange and green with a lot of pride, because this is a great game and a big weekend for Rattler Nation. And we can get our 10th win, which I think I heard is the first time since 98. First time since 98, I think.
Well, Gerald said first time since 99 because of the playoff wins, but for regular season, 10-win season, 98's the correct seed year.
Okay. Well, still a long time. I was just finishing up then. Wow, that seems like forever. But 98, 99, that's a long time ago. That's kind of why we got started doing this Black College Sports Network thing, because of those teams back then. So I would love for this team to get their 10th and love for it to happen at the Florida Classic. And one last regular season game before we get the SWAC championship on December 2nd. So let's have fun and watch how it all breaks out. Thanks to everybody for watching. Hit the thumbs up or the like button wherever you are, and make sure to share the show. You can find us, of course, on the Black College Sports Network. You can find us on our own YouTube page at ONG StrikeZone. You can download the podcast later on the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you listen to podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcast. Download, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks up, Rattler Nation. Make sure to be nice to those kitty cats. They're going through a tough time. Meow, meow, kitty cat, meow, meow, kitty cat. Don't be too mean, kitty cat. And, we scoot them on their way. Give them a little bowl of milk and say, have a good day, kitty cat. All right, that's going to be it for Marcus and Kelvin. I'm Brian Fulford. Thanks up, Rattler Nation. Strike, and strike even harder at the rest of them folks that you see out there on those mean streets, especially on the internet. Don't let them get to you, because we are the champions of the East, soon to be the SWAC and the nation. I just had to say it. All right. Peace out, everybody.